لا شريك لك لبيك.
Once Ihram is worn, the rituals of Umrah to Tamattu are started and certain things become forbidden, which we must avoid until Tafsir, which is the last obligation of Umrah to Tamattu. However, some of the prohibited acts during Ihram are forbidden in general, even when you are out of Ihram also. Other forbidden acts during Ihram are either permissible or mustahab in normal circumstances. The secret in avoiding these acts during Ihram is that we should practice self-restraint so that we can stay away from sins throughout our lives. That is, one should avoid doing those acts which are forbidden during Umrah or Hajj. The sin of those acts which are always forbidden is greater if committed during Ihram. One must therefore be careful not to commit them. If a person exercises self-restraint, God willing, he will be able to avoid sins throughout his entire life. Forbidden acts are divided into three categories. Some of them are forbidden for both men and women. Some others are forbidden for men only. And the third category is forbidden for women only. As for the first category, which is forbidden for both men and women, it involves many acts which may happen to you. I will explain them for you as you need to know them. You can read their details in books written about Hajj rituals, or your group cleric might explain them in the sessions they hold for you. Many of the forbidden acts may never happen to you. However, one of those things which is likely to occur is the use of perfume and scents. For example, you might use aromatic soaps, which you should not. Similarly, you should not wear clothes that have come into contact with perfume or the likes of such things. You should not use perfume or wear it in any manner, nor should you use sweet-smelling toothpaste, shampoo and cream. This is the first thing which may happen with you. The second forbidden act during Ihram is looking in the mirror. You might be on buses, in hotel, corridors and toilets with a mirror in front of you, which you must be careful not to look in. You must know that if you do something inadvertently and unintentionally, there would be no objection in it, such as if it so happens that you do not notice a mirror and you see yourself in it. Another forbidden act during Ihram is removal of hair from the body. A pilgrim must not remove, pluck or scratch off hair from his head, face or any other parts of his body. However, if hair drops off by itself in the course of wuzu or ghusl made for entering Masjid al-Haram or for circumambulation, there would be no objection in it. Another forbidden act is cutting nails. Cutting nails with nail cutters or scissors or any other means in a state of ihram is forbidden and must be avoided. Also, it is forbidden for one who is in the state of ihram to swear in the name of Allah. You must be careful not to swear in Allah's name. For example, do not say Wallah, Billah or the likes of such words. Similarly, Fusuq is haram for a pilgrim in the state of ihram. Fusuq means lying, boasting and showing off one's social status to others. If one gives a boastful and denigrating order to another person, it is haram. But if an order is not considered to be so, there would be no objection in it. For example, if a person sitting at a table asks another person to give him a cup of water or pass him a salt shaker, there would be no problem in it. Applying oil, cream and the likes of such things to the body is haram for both men and women. A husband and wife are forbidden to each other, meaning they cannot look at each other lustfully nor can they desire any sexual pleasures from each other. They are temporarily in the ruling of a brother and a sister. They are not strangers to each other, but they cannot touch each other with lust or with the intention of seeking other sexual pleasures. There are also some other forbidden acts which both men and women should be mindful of. For example, uprooting grass and plants or cutting down and breaking trees in the area of the haram are forbidden, though such a thing does not happen normally. Hunting is also one of the things which does not happen in the area of haram at present, yet there might be locusts or some insects which a pilgrim should be careful not to kill. These were some of the acts which are forbidden for both men as well as women, but there are some acts which are forbidden for men only. Now we speak about the acts which are prohibited for men only. One of them is covering of the head. It is not permissible for a male pilgrim in a state of ihram to cover his head or part of it by way of shawl, towel, cap, and the like. It is also forbidden for a male pilgrim in ihram to wear shoes, socks, or stockings if they cover the upper part of the foot. You must bear in mind the differences between wearing and covering. Covering is used for the head and wearing for foot. It is therefore forbidden to cover the head with whatever things that might cover it. For example, putting a towel or blanket over your head is considered covering your head, and it is forbidden, but if the blanket falls over your feet or because of cold weather inside a bus, you yourself pull it over them, there would be no objection in doing so. Likewise, if the cloth of the ihram worn around the waist covers the foot, there is no objection in it. Another prohibited act for men only is being under a shade which is confined to while walking or covering the distance between Miqat and Mecca, and from Mecca to Arafat in state of ihram. This also does not happen with Iranian pilgrims who are moved overnight from Miqat to Mecca and from Mecca to Arafat. Of course, there are some exceptional cases which the group leaders will explain to you and will guide you about them, God willing. Another prohibited act for male pilgrim is wearing sewn clothes during ihram. As I told you earlier also, men should take off all sewn clothes, including their underwear. This is also not a problem for pilgrims normally because they use a belt to hold the ihram cloth around the waist. The belt tied over the ihram cloth around the waist has a sewn pocket for money, which is an exception and is free of any objection.
اون اگر دوخته باشد استثناء شده و اشکالی ندارد.
As for the prohibited acts for women only, one of the acts which is forbidden for a woman is wearing ornamental jewelry like rings, bangles, and the like. Although it is not necessary for them to take off what they had been wearing in the past, ladies who have been wearing rings and bangles in the past are not obligated to remove them during Ihram, but they must not wear anything for adornment. Men also should not wear rings as an ornament to beautify themselves, but if they have been wearing rings in the past, it is not necessary to remove them during Ihram. If a pilgrim wears a carnelian ring during Ihram to gain its reward, there would be no objection in doing so. Another prohibited act for women is covering the face. They should not cover the part of their face that are washed during wuzu. They should know that while traveling on a bus to Mecca, it is not permissible for them to put their veils on their faces, nor are they allowed to do so during tawaf and its prayer. Normally, they are used to pulling down their veils over their faces, but they should be careful not to do so during Ihram. However, if they want to hide their faces from the strangers, the veils should be at a distance from their faces. For example, sometimes ladies put on caps with a front side brim. Sometimes the veil falls over the brim so that the front part of the face is not visible. In any case, women's faces should not be covered during Ihram, as I explained. This was a brief explanation of the prohibited acts during Ihram, but be it the Ihram of Umrah or Hajj, the rulings are the same, and I am not going to repeat them again. These acts are forbidden until you perform Taqsir as the last obligatory ritual of Umrah to Tamattu. On completion of Taqsir, one is out of the state of Ihram, and all that is forbidden during Ihram becomes lawful. But those who act which had been forbidden in the past also, like lying, cursing and swearing, remain forbidden as ever before. And those acts which had been halal before Ihram but were rendered haram due to Ihram become halal after Taqsir. I request you to go through books written on Hajj rituals so that you come to know more. You might also find more detailed rulings during the sessions which are held by group clerics.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
I am talking to you from inside Masjid al-Haram and conveying you my greetings from near the Kaaba. We wore the Ihram clothes in Miqat and came over to Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque, to perform Umrah of the obligatory Hajj, known as Umrah to Tamattu, and the rest of the obligatory acts such as Tawaf, circumambulation around the Kaaba, Tawaf prayer, and sa'i between Safa and Marwa. If you don the Ihram garbs at Jufa or in Shajara Mosque, it is recommended that you recite Labbaik along the way until you reach a distance where you are about to see the houses of the city of Mecca. There you should stop saying Labbaik and recite it no more. While entering the Haram, it is good to recite a dua or supplication if possible. It should be noted that when you are entering the city of Mecca, you often enter it through Tanin, an area where the Haram boundaries. The city of Mecca has extended and exceeded the Haram boundaries. In any case, upon reaching Mecca, you will come to Masjid al-Haram at an appropriate time in order to perform Tawaf of Umrah to Tamattu. You must, however, take a few things into consideration before coming to the mosque. It is mustahab or desirable to perform ghusl for Ihram and other obligatory acts. It is recommended to perform ghusl with the intention of mustahab ghusl before entering Masjid al-Haram and performing tawaf, because tawaf and its prayer have to be performed in the state of wuzu. Also, you should take a rosary with you for the mustahab zikrs or recitations during sa'i and tawaf.
براتون مناسب هست یه دونه تسبیح داشته باشید برای ذکرهایی که در سعی مستحب است و همچنین
Also, you should take a rosary with you for the mustahab zikrs or recitations during sa'i and tawaf. If you can, you should also take a plastic bag with you for your slippers so that they do not get lost. It is also good to take a dua book with you.
هم مناسب هست.
When you are going to Masjid al-Haram, you can enter the mosque through any of its gates.
درها که وارد میشید
It is desirable to recite a supplication for entering the mosque, but if you do not recite one, it is no problem.
اگر نخواندید هم
Upon entering the mosque, it is desirable to perform
مناسب هست که
Sajdatul Shukr, to thank Allah for granting your success in performing these rituals.
توفیق انجام این اعمال رو نصیب شما فرموده است.
It is also recommended to offer 2 rakats of tahiyyah prayers as a sign of respect for the mosque. But if you fail to offer the prayer, there is no problem. When we begin tawaf, before explaining to you the rules of tawaf, I would like to introduce to you to the locations which will have something to do with tawaf. As you look at the Kaaba, it has 4 corners, each with a different name. The corners are known as Rukn. Now, when it comes to corner in which the black stone is placed, it is called the black stone corner, which is the starting and finishing point of tawaf. In the same direction, you can see a line of pilgrims who are beginning to perform tawaf. As you move forward, you reach another corner where Hijr Ismail, the enclosure of a smile, is located. The corner is known as Rukn Iraqi, the Iraqi corner, because it is in the approximate direction of Iraq. As you proceed, you reach another corner known as Rukn Shami, the Syrian corner, because it is the general direction of Syria. The next corner, which is the corner before Black Stone corner, is Rukn Yamani, the southern corner facing Yemen. This is the corner which is split open when the God's miracle allowing Fatima bint Asad to give birth to Hazrat Ali inside the Kaaba. These were the corners of the Kaaba which I introduced. Next is Maqam, the station of Abraham, which is the stone bearing a divine miracle, the trace of Hazrat Ibrahim's footstep. The stone is being kept in the courtyard of Masjid al-Haram inside a crystal box with a small protective shield 13 meters away from the Kaaba. As you see in the picture, the black stone corner is close to the gate of the Kaaba. The space between the gate and the black stone is called Multazam, and the semicircle between the black stone and Maqam of Abraham and Hijr Ismail is known as Hakim, a place where sins fall away. Al-Hajar al-Aswad, which means black stone, was not black in the beginning, but it has turned black with the passage of time. It is a sacred stone which was sent down from heaven. It is placed 1 meter above the ground in one of the corners of the Kaaba, and it is the starting point for Tawaf. You also see Hijr Ismail and Mercy Drain. The half-circle, which apparently looks to be the Kaaba yard, is called Hijr Ismail, the enclosure of Ismail. Ismail's mother is said to be buried here. In order to prevent pilgrims from walking on his mother's grave, Ismail, peace be upon him, put a stone enclosure around the grave. Then a wall was built up. For that reason, the pilgrims doing tawaf must not walk into the enclosure.
و بعد هم دیواری ساخته شد و اکنون طواف کنندگان باید به دور هجر اسماعیل هم بگردند و داخل هجر اسماعیل نروند.
Another important place is the place near Al-Rukn al-Yamani, which is next to Hijr Ismail, and it is opposite the Kaaba gate, meaning the Kaaba gate is on the other side of the Kaaba opposite to the Rukn. In the past, there had been a gate over there whose mark is still visible. This specific area is called Mustajar. Zamzam is situated on this side. Zamzam is the spring or well, which is still present as well, of course. It is said that Zamzam water bubbled out under Hazrat Ismail's feet when he rubbed them against the ground. The water is still there and people drink it. This was a brief introduction to the sacred places. Now I'm going to explain to you the manner and rules of performing tawaf, the second obligatory act of Umrah Tamattu. To be precise, there are 3 conditions for tawaf, and they are either related to tawaf itself or to the performer. First of all, one who performs tawaf must be in the state of tahara, ritual purity. That's to say, he should not be under the obligation to perform a ghusl, and he must be in the state of wudu. As I said earlier, wudu is required for Umrah and Hajj obligations such as tawaf and its prayer. Other obligations do not require wudu, although it is mustahab to be in the state of wudu. So taharat is necessary for a pilgrim who is performing tawaf. He must be in the state of wudu. His clothes and body must be clean, of course. Ihram cloth is clean, but it should be mubah, which means that it should be purchased with one's own halal income. The body must also be clean from impurities. Likewise, the clothes which you will wear while performing the Hajj rituals must be mubah. That is, it should not be user property, nor should they have been purchased with money whose zakat or homes have not been paid. The tawaf performer must circumambulate the Kaaba with the intention of performing tawaf and seeking nearness to God. The intention of seeking nearness to God is a necessary part of all the acts of Umrah Tamattu as well as Hajj. As for the conditions which deal with the tawaf itself, first one must circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times continuously. The circumambulation must commence at Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone, and complete at the same corner. The Al-Hajar al-Aswad corner is usually crowded because a lot of people are trying to kiss the stone at the corner. There is a black line stretching from the corner to the end of the courtyard of the Masjid al-Haram. Those who perform tawaf can find a line in front of their feet and begin their circumambulation from the line and end at it. Also, there is a green light on the wall of Masjid al-Haram facing the black stone as a sign for those who perform tawaf at night. Tawaf has to be started from here and ended at the same point. It is not necessary to join the line of tawaf performers from here. When you are coming into the mosque, come with the crowd and walk slowly without the intention of tawaf until you reach the line opposite to the black stone or opposite to the green light. Once there, make the niyyah of tawaf and start making 7 rounds. It is not necessary to stop when a round is complete. It is simply desirable to make a gesture with your hand, say takbir, and kiss your hand. Finally, complete the tawaf from the point you had commenced at.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
We are next to the queue of performance of tawaf in Masjid al-Haram. In the previous session, we explained to you some of the issues related to tawaf, and we said the second of the obligatory act related to the tawaf of Umrah Tamattu. Tawaf comprises certain acts that are either related to the person performing tawaf or to the tawaf itself. In the previous session, we said the person performing tawaf must have ritual purity and wudu. His body and clothes must be pure, and his clothes must be mubah, which means they should be acquired by lawful means. Likewise, he must have the niyyah, intention of tawaf. He must know that he is performing Umrah Tamattu with the intention of gaining closeness to God. Those acts related to the tawaf itself are: first, The tawaf consists of 7 rounds. That is to say, we must circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times, not less and not more. Normally everybody knows that tawaf is supposed to start from the black stone, that is to say, right from where the black stone is, and its sign is this, that it is usually crowded with people who want to touch the black stone. Secondly, along the floor of Masjid al-Haram is a dark-colored stone of 20 centimeters reaching up to the end of the Masjid al-Haram. This is another good sign, and the performers of tawaf can look in front of their feet, and when they reach the start line, they should make their niyyah and start performing tawaf. Another sign is that at night there is a green fluorescent light opposite to the black stone. The other thing to be mentioned is that during tawaf the left shoulder should face the Kaaba. That is to say, you must not perform tawaf with foreface or backwards to the Kaaba, and you must not circumambulate in a receding manner. Also during tawaf you have to go round the Ismail enclosure, or what is known as a Hijr Ismail. As you can see, the performers of tawaf are circling the Ismail enclosure also. That is to say, they move around the half circle where the golden drain is located. They do not enter the enclosure itself. It is necessary to move around the Kaaba and the enclosure of Ismail.
ناودان طلا اون طرف هست و داخل هجر اسماعیل نمیرن به دور کعبه و هجر اسماعیل در حال طواف باید گشت.
Another issue is that during tawaf you have to be outside of the Kaaba, and this is usually the case. However, there is a projection near the base of the Kaaba which is known as Shadrawan.
در برخی اطراف یک به حساب پیش آمدگی هست که میگن شادروان.
One must circumambulate keeping clear of the holy Kaaba and its projection. In the course of tawaf, one should not extend one's arm towards the Shadrawan or the wall of the holy Kaaba to touch a corner. If he does so, his tawaf would become a matter of ishkal or objection. Another issue is that according to the verdicts of some marjas jurists, tawaf has to be performed between the maqam of Abraham and the Kaaba. However, according to the verdicts of other jurisprudence, there is no problem if tawaf is performed from a bit further away. As for those who cannot circumambulate from this said distance due to a reason like heart illness or thickness of the crowd and such like, they are permitted to perform tawaf from a further distance, and there would be no problem in doing so. This issue will be explained to you by the clerics helping the caravans. These are issues which were related to tawaf. There are some other things of which I have to remind you. When you wish to begin tawaf, there is no need for you to enter the crowd from the point which is opposite to the black stone. You can enter the crowd at any point and follow it until you reach the black stone. And when you reach it, you make your intention and commence your tawaf. You don't have to stop moving when you want to make your intention. Make it as you walk. And when you finish tawaf, you do not have to come out from the same place you join the crowd. Move out wherever you feel free, but then when you are moving with the crowd and you have finished your tawaf, you should no longer retain the intention of tawaf. Your intention should be to move out of the crowd. Go behind the station of Abraham to perform the prayer of tawaf. The other thing is that during tawaf, do not go for mustahab acts like kissing the black stone, kissing the Kaaba and praying in Hijr Ismail. You can do these acts later when you have finished your tawaf. When the tawaf is finished, you have to pray 2 rakahs with the intention of tawaf prayer for Umratul Tamattu behind the station of Abraham. As I mentioned earlier, when the tawaf has been completed, you easily move with the people of performing tawaf. As you move out, try to go behind the station of Abraham so that it is in front of you when you are facing the Kaaba. If you stand near the station, there would be no problem in it, but usually you cannot manage to stand there because the station is overcrowded. As you can see right now, there are people performing tawaf from behind the station, so you cannot stand and offer tawaf prayer over there. There is no problem if you come further behind and stand at a place where it will be said you are behind the station of Abraham and praying. Yes, if there is less of a crowd and neither you nor the crowds are disturbing the other, it is better to pray near the station of Abraham. But when there is a pressing crowd of tawaf performance, do not stand in their way because the crowd will not let you pray either. Tawaf prayer consists of 2 rak'ahs like the morning prayer. It has no azan or iqama. You read Surah Hamd and any other surah correctly, just like any other prayers. آقایون میتونن حمد سوره رو بلند بخونن در این نماز هر سوره‌ای هم بخونید اشکالی نداره مهم آن است که Try to offer your prayers correctly, and if you think you have some problems with your prayer, you must tell your caravanserai cleric to help you correct them. Here I should remind of another thing also. Those who are representing others in the Umrah and Hajj should be able to pray correctly, and if they cannot pray correctly, their representation is not correct. They should perform all acts related to the Hajj in the right manner. I should recite that if their prayers are not correct, they should correct them before offering them. We said that these 2 rak'ahs can be prayed with any surah after Hamd, but it is mustahab. If in the first rak'ah you recite Surah Tawheed and in the next you recite Surah Kafirun, there is no problem if you do not include the qunut, but if you do recite a dua that you can recite correctly. The next obligatory act which we will perform after tawaf and his prayer is sa'i between Safa and Marwa.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك